I remember when I ran away for the very first time, unintentionally. Hi, my name is Dr. Jamila Banks, and I am your licensed holistic marriage and family therapist who specializes in trauma-informed care, anxiety, depression, and suicide management and reduction. And I remember when I ran away for the very first time unintentionally. Now, in previous sessions, I explained in 9th and 10th grade, my stepfather had got strung out on crack and cocaine. I didn't explain that he had a great job. He was a great person. He ended up getting terminated unlawfully. He ended up getting beat by the police at his job. And that led him to having mental health issues and struggles, which I believe led him to abusing substances. Now, my mom tried to stick beside him and give him resources, help with rehab and mental health things. However, it got worse and worse and worse. Arguments and fights were getting worse. So me displaying what was going on the outside when I got to school was a mouth, was an attitude, was ditching, hopping gates, fighting, and getting in with the wrong crowd. So I had particular friends in the 10th grade, and one sweet day, they were like, hey, Jay, you want to come to this bando that we found? Come to find out, the abandoned apartment was in the apartment building that I used to live in 9th grade. So I was familiar with the layout. It was a big old apartment complex with like buildings that said A, B, C, D, F, E, F, G. So we went in one of the buildings. It was an apartment. And after school, we just hung out. And this became something that we did for like a couple of weeks. We had snacks. They brought in pets. We had movies. We were doing whatever we were doing in 9th and 10th grade in an abandoned apartment that we weren't supposed to be doing. And one sweet day, my friends were like, hey, Jamila, why don't you just stay here with us? You don't got to go home. And I was like, okay. I think I had been ditching. I think I was also in trouble. And I think the school was calling my mama. So I was like, if I'm going to be in trouble, I'm going to go out swinging. Why not just stay here? So I ended up staying in the abandoned apartment overnight. The next day, I guess people in the building and apartment have been complaining about us for weeks. And it was noises going on and in and out. And they knew the apartment was supposed to be empty. So the next morning, we get knock, knock, knock. We scrambling around. The door opens and who comes in but some police officers. And they're like, okay, you guys, stay where you are. Like, we're coming in. This is the police. Why are you here? Blah, blah, blah. They ended up calling our mothers. They ended up taking us to the police station. My mom was like, take her down. And then, so she had me in the little tank, all scared that I was going to go to juvie and stuff. They ended up coming and talking to me and put me into some scared straight program called Jeopardy to keep kids off the street. And I ended up taking karate above the police station in the parking lot and taking all kind of classes about, things to help kids stay safe. As I learned then that, when you are going through things, it's easy to be influenced. When you are going through things, it's easier to be influenced. And I was going through lots of things. And I was hurt inside and I was going through lots of pain and I didn't know necessarily how to say it. And so my behaviors were displaying the things. And so if your kids are displaying certain things that they're not necessarily communicating about, maybe it's some underlying mental health issues, maybe it's some underlying anxiety or grief or anger that they are going through. So let's not just look at the behaviors. Let's see what's the root of those behaviors too.